Hi everyone, and welcome you all for the module 2 of my WSET Level 2 qualification preparation. And in today's module we're going to dive into wine and food pairing basics. So now we know the wine and food pairing is a marvelous experience in our restaurants, in our day-to-day lives, especially as hospitality professionals working in restaurant industry. We know that wine and food pairing can be a great experience for our guests, and in this case it's very special for us to understand the basic interactions between food and wine. What are the main elements, main components in food as well as in wine that we need to consider when making recommendations to our guests. So in WCT level 2 specifications, the wine and food pairing section has explained in detail about these components and the elements that we should be considering in wines. So let's get started. So food and wine interaction, both the food and wine have effect on each other, and that can create a harmonious experience. So even if we consume food only itself, we can still have a great experience, a harmonious experience. But when we pair these food and wine together, the interaction between the elements of both the wine and food can create an overall harmonious experience. So therefore we need to understand about this reaction, how they interact each other. So preferences and sensitivities has to be taken into consideration, like I said in before. So it is very sensitive. It's very important for us to understand their preferences, our guests preferences, what they normally enjoy, what sort of flavor they love to have. For example, high levels of bitterness, high levels of acidity, high levels of tannins in a wine can be enjoyable for one person, but the same wine can be really awful and not successful for someone else. Therefore we need to understand their personal preferences by asking questions. We can often engage in conversations asking for their the likes and dislikes, etc. Using toothbrush with drinking acidic orange juice right after. So imagine you're drinking fresh orange juice right after you're brushing your teeth. So it can create a very unpleasant experience, unpleasant sensation on your mouth. Just like that, if you pick the wrong wine to a certain dish, can create such an experiences in our mouth as well. Therefore it's very important to understand these elements and the occasions as well. Even chocolate or thick creamy dishes vs mouth coating effect. So if we eat chocolate or if we eat anything very creamy, the dish, what happens in our mouth, it becomes very coaty, very dry sensation, right? So these are similar sensations that we need to take into our mind when we pair food and wine together. So when it comes to wine and food pairing, it's very important to understand these components in the food, like sweetness and umami, salty and acidity. Oftentimes the sweetness in food and umami in food considered as not so friendly elements when it comes to pairing with the wine, because these flavors in food can create the wine looks more bitter, more drying and more acidic. Therefore the wine seems less fruity and less sweet, and overall experience would be quite unpleasant. And if you pick the right wine with sufficient levels of residual sugar sweetness in wine, then it can have a pleasant experience, because the similar flavor intensities of these wine and food pairs very well. Even in umami, very similar thing. Umami is not an isolated flavor profile as well. It's a flavor that found within the other flavors as well, oftentimes like cooked or dried mushrooms or even miso, etc. And when it comes to salty and acidity in food, these are very friendly components in food that can enhance the overall flavor profile of the wine as well. So for example, if the food is salty, then the wine seems like less drying, less bitter and less acidic. So it makes the wine feels like more bodier, more fruity as well. Medium to full bodied red or white would pair well, as it helps to soften the tannins and brighter fruits. So just like that, same thing with the acidity. It has very similar reaction in the wine as well. So and also very important to understand, if the the food has high levels of acidity, and then we need to pick a wine with similar levels of acidity. That is one of the reasons why we serve most of the white wines, refreshing styles of white wines with some salads, with easygoing the dishes, because those similar levels of acidity in both the wine and food pairs perfectly well. If you pick the wine with less acidity, what happens then, the overall experience will not have very similar experience. And there are other things to consider as well, like chili in heat. It is a warming or burning sensation. Some they enjoy this effect, and some feels unpleasant. Alcohol in wine will increase this effect. Like it says, certain spicy dishes have burning or warming sensation on our palate already. On top of that, we pair it with some high alcohol wines. It creates even more. And some they really enjoy this effect, but most of the people they find it very unpleasant, not so enjoyable. So yeah, it's important to understand their personal preferences in this case as well. So flavor intensity. So wine and food pairing is all about flavor intensity, matching the intensities of wine as well as the food together. So lighter dishes with lighter wines, richer and meaty dishes with fuller bodied wines match flavor intensity. So lighter dishes always we pair with some light wines, whether it's red or white, doesn't matter. If the dish is light, we can easily pair it with light bodied wines. And when it comes to more richer, more highly flavored, more meatier dishes, then we have to pick a wine which has fuller bodied, more complex food flavors to pair with. Otherwise, the wine seems much more less fruity, less sweeter. Therefore, wine will not have pleasant experience of the pairing. And acid and fat. This is very important components when it comes to food and wine pairing. There are many fatty, hearty dishes that we often pair with wines with high levels of acidity. It's mainly because the acid in the wine will cut through the fattiness, the oiliness of the food, and clean our palate and prepare for the next bite as well. So this is what happens exactly most of the times. The red meats that we pair with the wines that have high levels of acidity, high levels of tannins. And yeah, oftentimes we pair sometimes champagne with seafoods because of that. After we try the fish, our mouth feels like more coating, the fish oily sensation. So as soon as we drink champagne, it cuts through this sensation and creates the palate more clean. So this is pretty much all we need to know about food and wine pairing principles, the main components that we need to consider when trying the pairings. And most of the time, the questions for the exam of level 2 qualification can come from these four components that we covered in previous slide: sweetness, umami, and acid and salt. These are often described as friendly and unfriendly components. So those are the components the questions can come more frequently. So I will be making questions, multiple choice questions based on this food and wine pairing topic in upcoming videos. So you can be in touch with this video series and prepare yourself, get ready for the exam as well. So I wish you all have a great day ahead, and I will see you in the next video. Everyone have a great time. Bye.